Let me also pin my image so that it records on my computer that way. And let's let Heather in. And we shall start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our peer-to-peer session, Creative Marketing Strategies with Ashley Payne. My name is Hendrik Hernandez Resto, and I am the Creative Specialist at New Bedford Creative. Thank you for joining us today. Before I go any further, please enter your first and last name in our chat along with your emails for our records. Thank you. This peer-to-peer series is geared to enrich, educate, and connect creatives within our community. New Bedford is the home of artists, creatives, change makers, designers, entrepreneurs, and community enthusiasts. The peer-to-peer sessions embrace the pulse that makes New Bedford so unique while also expanding our knowledge and connections. New Bedford Creative offers many opportunities for artists and cultural organizations. Join our creative directory, apply for one of our grants, or call for arts. List your events on our calendar, all for free, at our website, newbedfordcreative.org. Peer-to-peer sessions is supported in part by the City of New Bedford's Arts, Culture, and Tourism Fund, facilitated by New Bedford Creative at the New Bedford Economic Development Council, which receives support in part from the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency. We would like to thank Mayor John Mitchell, his administration, and the entire New Bedford City Council for their continued support of the creative sector. Additional support is provided by the Barr Foundation, Bristol County Savings Bank, and South Coast Community Foundation. Before I introduce our presenter, I want to go over the format for this session. Once Ashley is finished, we will open up for Q&A. I will review the questions in the chat first, and then we can continue on to the Q&A live. We'll have about 20 minutes for questions so we can wrap up on time by 1:30. Just so everyone is aware, the session will be recorded. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat so we don't miss them when we open up for Q&A. Most sessions throughout this series have been recorded and can be found on our YouTube channel at New Bedford Creative in the following weeks. I will now pass it over to Ashley Payne to share more details of who they are and what they will be presenting for us today. Go for it, Ashley. I will be muting myself and unpinning. So just let me remove the pin and let me mute myself. And you should be good. Go for it.
Okay, let me get this screen shared. This is always the fun part. Hold on one second. Can everyone see a picture with my name on it? Yeah,
Yes.
orange background. Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Ashley Payne, and I'm the founder of Cardinal Creative Strategies. I'm a marketing coach who works with creative entrepreneurs and nonprofits to cut through all of the marketing noise that is out there and develop marketing strategies that work with your schedule and your budget. So today's session is going to focus on marketing for creative brands. Perhaps you're here because you've figured out branding basics like your logo and your fonts, but maybe you're facing some inconsistent sales or your brand is hitting a wall with engagement. If that sounds familiar to you, then you're likely not alone. And it's probably that it's not the visual identity that is making you hit the wall. The things that truly win in today's world of congested messaging are clarity, authenticity, and trust. And today we're going to talk about clarifying what you say and how you show up. The goal for today is to help you dial in your specific message, use storytelling in a way that helps convert the people who are interested, and implement visibility strategies that work with your time and your budget. So we're aiming for strategic effectiveness without that burnout that often comes with marketing without a strategy. So here's a little overview for what we'll do today. We're going to dig deeper into your audience, moving beyond basic demographics and into psychographics, because understanding your values can help us understand behaviors. We're going to use storytelling to build deep, lasting loyalty. And we'll use personal branding and how it acts as a lever to build trust. And then, as Hendrik mentioned, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session for about 15-20 minutes. So before we get started, as Hendrik mentioned in the notes, I want you to grab whatever you're using for notes and jot down your why. Now, this could be 1 to 2 sentences about why you started your business. Why is what you're doing important? So think about that for just a second while I get to the next slide. So on the screen, you'll see a quote by Simon Sinek. He is well known in the marketing world and has written some really, really great books about branding, connecting with customers, and marketing. And he said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now, this is something to think about when you're creating that 1 to 2 sentence about your why. Why is what you're doing important? Now, this is going to shape your marketing, your messaging, everything that you do moving forward should all be centered around your why. All right. So let's kick off with something that probably everyone has felt at some point. You stumble across a brand and you feel like, wow, they really get me. You see this piece of marketing, maybe it's an Instagram post or something on Facebook, and you instantly feel this sense of recognition. And you feel like they get me, they understand what I'm going through. You feel this powerful sense of being understood and seen. And I promise you that is not by accident. That is the result of very deliberate marketing that is rooted in understanding emotions and psychology. That kind of connection goes beyond demographics. So, demographics, as you'll see on the screen, are who your customer is. They're things like age, gender, location. They're important, but they're not enough on their own. So, for example, knowing that your target customer is a 40-year-old woman living in New Bedford making $70,000 a year, that could be useful for deciding where to place an ad, but it's not telling you about her motivations, her desires, or why she does the things that she does. It's all surface level that really doesn't help you craft a message that taps into the emotional triggers that get your customers to buy. That's where your psychographics come in. This is the why your customers buy. They detail things like internal factors that drive behavior. We're talking about values. Do they prioritize sustainability, convenience, authenticity? Their habits, especially their purchasing habits. So, are they someone who jumps at something quickly? Are they standing in line at the next iPhone launch at 4 o'clock in the morning? Or are they an early adopter that requires some nurturing before making a purchase? Do you really have to educate them on the product and really make them feel like it connects with them? What about their lifestyle, their motivations, and their struggles or their pain points that your work can help solve? So let's go back to that 40-year-old woman in New Bedford. We know some of her demographics, some of that census data, if you will. Now, let's say we've identified that she values transparency and how things are made. She actively avoids businesses that feel exploitative. So she's not looking for these big brands that are just selling, and all about their products and just telling you the features. She is looking for a brand that she can relate to. So let's relate that to a real world example. So let's say you run a pottery business. You don't want to just list the dimensions of the next piece that you're trying to sell if you're trying to attract this customer. You want to take what you know about your customer, what drives them to make their purchasing decisions, what really motivates them, and what they care about, their values. You want to talk about painting a picture of the joy of serving food on something unique, something that enhances those family meals together, something that was handcrafted, one of a kind, and that you can tell a story about how you created that piece from start to finish with love in your heart as you created it. So let's go back to what Simon Sinek said about people not buying what you do, but why you do it. Your brand, especially as a creative, isn't just the thing that you sell, the painting, the necklace, the design package. Your brand is defined by how people feel when they interact with you. So every single touch point really matters. So your touch points are going to be your various marketing channels. It could be your packaging. It could be the interaction that you have with them at a vendor market or a pop-up shop. Loyalty today is tied to brands that align with customer values and beliefs. So if you can connect with your target customer on values, they'll often choose to go towards your brand over another brand that's selling something similar that they really just don't feel that emotional connection with. So, these are just some examples of brand values that you could incorporate with your messaging. Things like sustainability, creativity, education, speed and efficiency, technology, community. So that could be like creating a sense of community through gatherings or forums or ways for people to connect with other people. So after the workshop, when you've got more time on your hands tonight, you can create a list that looks just like this. You can draw a line right down the middle, and on one side, you can list your brand's values, and on the other side, you can list your customers' values. And you can start to see things that align across your brand and your customer. Is sustainability important to your brand? Is it also important to your customer? Where are ways that you can start incorporating those values into your marketing message, especially the ones that overlap with your customers' values? So you're probably thinking, okay, where can I find psychographic data? Where can I find this information about my target audience? Do I have to invest in expensive marketing research? Where do I start? And the answer is that you do not have to invest in a lot of money into marketing platforms and things like that. If you were in Colleen's session a couple weeks ago, she talked about diving into the analytics through your social media pages. So, Facebook, Instagram, all of those platforms offer really great data about your followers. Not only what they're engaging with your content, but often you can see some of those demographics. Doesn't quite get into some of the psychographic data, but that's where you can start to use what's called social listening. And so that's where you're going to go online and you're going to start to see the language that your target audience is using online. This could be in Facebook groups, on Reddit, in reviews like Google reviews, Yelp reviews, product reviews. Start finding where your target audience is showing up online and see what they're saying. What are they talking about in relation to your brand or a competitor's brand? What are they saying when it comes to your competitors? What are some things that are working really well? And what are some things that they're complaining about? You could also put out surveys. You could put together a free survey through a Google form to try and learn more about your target audience. Now, you don't want to focus this survey by just asking them about products and services and features. You really want to ask them questions that will provide insights into who they are and why they buy. You won't get many opportunities to get this information from people through a survey. So you really want to make sure that when you're sending it out, you're asking questions that will help drive your marketing. So once you've figured out your brand values, and more about your target audience, you can start shaping your marketing message. I hope this is kind of all starting to come together where when you start to understand your customer more and you really start to lock down who you are as a brand, you can start putting that into your marketing. All right, let's see. So here's an example of ways to use brand values. If one of your brand values is simplicity, then your website, your packaging, your emails, your marketing communications need to feel simple. You don't want them to be cluttered or complicated. It's important that they can find ways to take your brand values and outwardly communicate them to your target audience. And that's everything through your visual identity, like I said, with your packaging and your website, to your messaging and your communication. So keeping things consistent across all of your touch points will make sure that you have brand consistency through everything that you do. Everything that your brand touches can be considered marketing. So that's things like your packaging. That's how you're showing up at markets or when you're meeting face to face and those conversations you're having when you're talking about your brand. All right. And so when thinking about today's customers don't want to be sold to. They don't want to be marketed at. I'm sure you experience this when you're on social media and you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, another ad, another flyer, another
Ash,
something
I
or
hate to
other.
interrupt, but it looks like we're still seeing the brand values and customer values. It's not changing on our side. So I didn't know if it's
Um,
changing on our side.
yes. So I don't have a slide for this part, so it's all
Oh,
good.
okay. Just wanted to
No,
make sure. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I saw it in the comments and I wanted to make sure.
no,
Continue.
you're good.
I
Thank you.
apologize.
So, customers are savvy today. They don't want to be marketed at. They don't want to hear, here's my product, here's my product, here's my product, buy this, here's the price, here's the features. They want brands that align with their values, their identity. And so your marketing focus should shift away from sharing features to creating more of a sense of shared identity, maybe even a community around that identity. So you're moving from just being a seller to being a trusted friend or an expert guide. So I'm going to share this example with you that is relevant in my life. So I have two young kids, finally out of the diaper phase for now, but Pampers is a brand that sells diapers. But they've also created this online content hub with resources and guides for parents. And so when you think about their target customer, which is the parent's goal isn't buy diapers. The parent's goal is to raise a healthy, happy baby. And Pampers has established themselves as a trusted authority on the topic of raising happy, healthy babies. Now, they didn't have to go and create that resource hub, but it's a way that they are connecting authentically and identifying their customers' values in order to sell more diapers. So think about with your art and the things that you're creating, ways that you can take those values to connect with your customer. So, storytelling is a great way to connect with and convert your target audience. There's an old saying that facts tell while stories sell. And if we just list features, those facts that are easily forgotten, if we weave those facts into a story, we can create a narrative where the customer is the main character and where you create something that is memorable for them. and that actually sticks. So, this might be a huge mindset shift for you to start thinking of your brand narrative where you are not the main character. Your brand, your product is not the main character of the story that you should be telling through your marketing. Your customer is the hero of the story. Your brand acts as the guide that will take them through that story. So, this can be challenging because as a creative, as an entrepreneur, it can feel so natural to talk about your journey, your skills, the years you spent perfecting your craft. And those are all important stories to share, especially when we're going back to your why. But the moment that you make yourself, your brand, the hero of every story, you unintentionally push your customers to the sideline and you make them a passive viewer instead of someone who is deeply connecting with the story. And this can totally kill their motivation to take action. So, on the next slide, we're going to go through some of the elements of storytelling and how they can relate to your brand message. I'm sure you're all very familiar with elements of storytelling, but when you're relating it to a brand story, it might look a little different from what you're used to. So, we have identified the main character is your customer. Now, the problem or conflict is something that your customer is actively dealing with. Now, this could be something that is an external conflict, like lack of time, or it could be an internal conflict, like the fear of missing out, or something that is internally challenging them. We've established that you, as the brand, are the guide. So I want you to think about a guide from any great story, like Yoda or Gandalf. They don't swoop in and defeat a villain themselves. They offer empathy. I understand your struggle. They offer credibility. I have been here before, and a clear path forward. Follow these steps, and you will get to the end of your journey. They give the hero the tools, the plan, and the wisdom to move forward with success. The plan, like I said, is the steps to get to where they need to in order to achieve that success. And your CTA, that's just marketing lingo for your call to action. So, in everything that you do, you want to make sure you have a clear call to action. That is basically telling the audience what you want them to do next. You've seen it before in the form of book your free consultation or learn more by clicking the button below. Um, might be on social media where you say, comment such and such word, and I'll send you a link in your DMs. Those are all calls to action. And you can find ways to incorporate them into your story that don't feel as salesy as those types of calls to action, but can still be very effective. And then finally, painting that picture of success if they follow you as the guide, or failure if they choose not to follow you as the guide. Now, most marketing messages remain positive and will show the successful ending, but it just depends on your brand and what story you're telling if you choose to go the success or failure route for the end of the story. So now we've talked about coming up with your brand values, understanding your brand a little bit more, identifying your target customer audience, ways to communicate them with them effectively by communicating their values and your values and using these storytelling elements. And now I want to talk about your personal brand. So, as a creative, as an entrepreneur, your personal brand can be just as important as the brand you've established for your business. Your personal brand is how you present yourself as the human behind your business. Now, sometimes as the creative, your personal brand is the brand that you're selling. If you are a musician or a performer, you are the brand. But let's say, going back to the pottery example, you're someone who's selling handmade pottery. You may not necessarily be the brand, but understanding your personal brand and how you show up to represent your business is just as important. So, even if your business brand is separate from who you are and how you show up, people naturally connect with other people. They connect with people more than they connect with logos and products. And there are going to be plenty of times where you'll have to show up to represent your brand. This could be during networking events, at a pop-up or a vendor market, or if you have a physical shop. It could be in your marketing content on social media, when you're writing an email newsletter or writing a blog and you're using your own voice. So there's a few things to remember when you're thinking about a personal brand. People buy from people that they trust. So when you have a strong personal brand, you're building credibility and awareness. I'm sure most of you know Hendrik. And Hendrik, I'm going to put you out here, but you have a very strong personal brand. You're an artist, you're a musician, and you also have a very strong personal brand that you put out into the world. And it's very identifiable. It is very clear to identify. It's recognizable and it's memorable. And so you can think about that when you're thinking about how you might be showing up in your marketing as well. It differentiates you from competitors. Your unique story, voice, and values set you apart from others. It also can set you apart from those big box brands or those big corporations. You are unique and you have a unique story to tell. It will make your marketing much easier because customers relate to authentic storytelling more than polished sales pitches. So, showing up authentically, telling your story, being real is so important. And finally, it builds loyalty. If people like you, they're more likely to stick with you than other brands and options that are out there. So, what are some ways that you can show up authentically? You can share your why. That what we started with at the beginning of this workshop, your why. Share that story. Why did you get started creating pottery in your basement? Why did you get started writing poetry? Why is that important? And why is it important for you now to share it with the world? Interact genuinely. Engage with your audience like a real person and not a business robot. If people are popping into your comments, respond to the comments, real and authentically. Even if it's just a thumbs up to show them that someone is actively here behind the screen being this brand. And use storytelling. Going back to what we just talked about, you can share your journey, your challenges, your wins, but you can also incorporate your own voice in telling these stories. And something that people love to see in marketing is showing behind the scenes content. It's a great way to authentically show up and give them a peek behind the curtain where you can show your autistic process, you can share your wins, share your challenges, and people love to see the parts of the business that they don't often get to see. So that could be even just a time-lapse video of you creating something as simple as just behind the scenes. It could be a messy desk, and you can say, well, you know how it is when you get ready for launch day. And that is just showing the real, authentic you and the behind the scenes of your process. But what happens if you don't want to be public facing? I know plenty of brands, I've worked with a few brands where maybe what they're selling, they don't want to be publicly shown. It could be that they're in a realm where it's adult content and they don't want their face associated with the products that they're selling. So there's alternatives. You can use your voice and not your face. So voiceover is great. Um, you can showcase if you have a team of people and they're willing to show up in your content. You can have employees or partners be featured and you can celebrate them in your content. Doing employee shout outs or highlights can be really, really effective because it not only shows that you care about your team, but it also lets people get to know a little bit more about the people that they may be interacting with. And then finally, you can leverage customer stories. So you can use those testimonials, case studies, or even user generated content to tell your brand story for you. So ask for those Google reviews, take screenshots of comments that are really positive on your social media and share that out. That's your social proof. That is showing people that other people out here in the world have worked with you and like what you're doing and like the service that they received or the product that they received. Other people are happy, so I might be happy too. This is a legit business that someone has decided to spend money with. And that takes me to the wrap up here, where um, when you're trying to figure out your brand and you're trying to understand your target audience, it's just really important to take the time to do some research, to really understand who it is you're talking to. And it can change, it can shift. The thing about marketing is that marketing is all about doing little experiments, trying things out to see what works. That's why they offer analytics through the back end of your social media, of your website, everything to see what's working so that you can replicate it. Or if it's not working, move on. You're placing tiny little bets all along the way with your marketing, testing it out, seeing what's working, and then continuing on. And that's what you're going to find as you start doing your marketing and start really trying to understand who your customer audience is. You're going to start to really see what's resonating with them, what's working, and how you can continue to share those messages effectively through your marketing. And that's everything for my presentation.
Yay! Snap, snap, snap. Clap, clap, clap. Fantastic job, Ashley. I looked in the chat and I don't think that I saw that there were any questions. So let's open it up for the live Q&A. If you want to come off mute and ask Ashley a question, we greatly encourage that. Go for it, crew. No one?
And I have a question going back to the psychographics. Is that the
Mhm.
right term for it?
Yep.
Where, like, I'm sure I could just go and Google it, but do you have any other resources, free resources that are online that we could read more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I can do is after the session wraps up, I would be more than happy to put together a few resources. One, a list of brand values that you can kind of just pull. Like there's hundreds of different brand values that you can pull from a list like that. And then also places to see different psychographics and things to look into for your marketing. I can put that together. You guys can share out.
Please
Um,
send it to me, I'll send it out.
on the music side of things, as far as like marketing and being an independent artist, how does it? What's the term I'm looking for here? As far as just like outsourcing for like other, trying to figure out how to word it in a sense. So being an independent artist and looking to reach out to like a marketing group or somebody to potentially, fill that role in a sense. Um, how can we as an artist go about that?
So I think what you're asking is if you're looking to hire someone to handle your marketing for you, how to kind of vet someone. Like,
Potential.
okay.
Yes.
So there are some questions you'd want to ask before hiring someone to do your marketing. One, what is their experience in the past working with someone in your industry? Do they have experience working with someone in the music industry? You could ask for some samples of their work.
Ooh.
So point me in the direction of some of the things. If they have a portfolio to share with you, that could be helpful to kind of see what they do. And then understanding, so someone may be really great at social media marketing, but it may be that they're not so great at building out a website. So
Hmm.
really understanding what their specialty is as a marketer is another great question to ask. But really understanding if that person has worked in the industry that you're focused in, do they have experience with that? And then seeing some of their past results. If they don't have past results to share, you could always say, okay. And so a lot of times too, like marketers that are looking for new clients will schedule like a 30-minute, 15 to 30-minute like discovery call with you to see what you're looking for and then to kind of talk about their methods. So let's say you're looking for someone who specializes in social media marketing. They're probably going to talk about their process of how they create the content, where they're sourcing things from, and how involved you'll need to be in the process as far as shaping some of that messaging.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Anyone else? You can just come off mute and
Hey Ashley,
Hey.
so I know you're obviously very aware of my brand. I am kind of figuring out how to start testing and getting things out there for the holiday season, really connect with the audience. And I think having the main character as the customer is something I haven't really done yet and taking them on that journey. Is there anything else that you see with me that could be helpful? I think I get what you're saying totally. When we talk about like testing and analytics, I definitely have to get more involved there, and uh, hopefully, if something doesn't work, if something doesn't work, how do you go to the analytics and you just kind of figure out a new plan.
Okay, so
Sorry.
that's okay. I'm going to tackle a few of those questions. So,
Okay.
start with gearing up for the holidays. So, that's
Yes.
where you want to go back and think about some of your brand values and some of your customer values. So, for your target audience,
Yes.
is your target audience struggling with finding the perfect gift for someone who, like, they have very specific interests, or, um, are
I feel
they?
like my target audience would also what I was thinking is, you know, uh buy women owned, buy black owned business type of thing. Stay away from the corporate, the man.
And that's
I
that's
thought that might be more helpful to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
going into like the sustainability sides. So, for those of you who don't know, I know
yeah,
Catherine from E4All. We worked together through her um, entrepreneurship accelerator program.
mentorship. Yeah,
So I'm familiar with her brand. And so the sustainability aspect can be really important. Um,
yeah,
for holidays, you want to think about are they thinking about asking for your products for themselves, or are they looking
right.
to shop for someone else? Um,
Okay,
and then also just painting the story of how good it feels to get a one of a kind, unique gift
Yeah.
for the holidays as opposed to a mass-produced piece of art you could
Yes.
find on the shelves of a big box store. You're
Okay, great.
supporting local, you're getting a unique gift, and you're supporting local artists.
Local artists. Yeah, definitely.
And then your other question, analytics.
Yeah.
So I think what you were asking was, in looking at your analytics, how are you seeing what's performing well and where to go next? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Right. Like what are key elements here? I know I'm looking at location and things like that, but I've never really gone in depth with it. So I just wanted to see what you had to say on that.
So Facebook can offer like Meta Business Suite can offer some more insights into psychographic data, but they really do focus heavily just on the demographics because when
Okay.
you're placing targeted ads through Meta ads, it's often
Mhm.
that people are looking at like age, location, household income, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where like social listening and knowing and kind of seeing where your audience is showing up online and what they're interacting with. Like, for
Okay.
instance, if my target audience is creatives,
Yeah.
I'm going to go follow New Bedford Creative online and I'm going to see where their followers are showing up online, what they're posting about, if they have a
Mm,
public profile, what they're talking
mm,
about in comment sections, how they're interacting with brands that are similar to mine. Are they interacting
yes.
to brands similar to mine, or am I totally off the mark
Mhm.
in who I'm looking at? Um,
Okay.
but something that your social media analytics will help with is to see what
Hmm.
posts are performing well. Are people engaging with the content? Are they
Yeah.
commenting, sharing, reposting? Those are things that are going to tell me, yes, I hit the mark here that resonates with them. If it's
Hmm.
not getting any engagement, maybe I'll try it in a different format. Perhaps I
Yeah.
did um, a carousel where I posted a
Hmm.
few pictures of my behind the scenes process and it just did not perform well. But I also
Mm,
did a time lapse video and a voiceover where I talk through my process, and that took off.
right.
They're both about the same thing,
Yeah.
but one performed better than the other.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone else? We'll continue with the Q&A
I
live.
have a couple of questions. My name's Charles Xavier. I'm working with the former mayor, Scott Lang. He's putting together a thing called New Bedford Jam that we're going
Great.
to start in November. Uh, and we're putting together a grant that uh, offered through the creative co-creative, and so we're putting together all the numbers. So next year we'll do 10 months of concerts, and we're wondering for the budget what to hire someone to do social media for each concert for 10 months. What are we looking at? $300 to $500 a month. uh, you know we're looking to put this together within the next week. So we have all the musician budgets, all producers, uh, and a lot of people in New Bedford are being involved. Gallery X is hosting it. Like I said, Scott Lang, Sean Fitzgerald, a bunch of people. So a lot of the artists.
That's very exciting.
That,
Um, So it's difficult to answer that question with a broad statement about pricing because it's really going to depend on what you're getting from who you hire. So you could say, I want you to do my social media for the next 10 months, but what is that? What are you looking for? So it could be, I could come to you and say, I will post three posts a month and I will track your analytics and provide a monthly analytics report for you. And that's going to cost $500. I'm just throwing out a number, $500 a month. Someone else could come to you and they could say the exact same thing and quote you $1,200 a month. There's so many different factors into what could play into what you get charged for your marketing, depending on experience, the level of engagement that they're spending on your marketing. So, are they also going in and replying to all of the comments and messages that you receive? Are they posting stories to your social media? What level of research are they doing before they're creating your content calendar for you? So there's a lot that goes into, as I said before, with hiring someone, you really want to make sure you have those conversations to see exactly what you're getting from who you hire. They should give you a full proposal of every month, here's what you can expect from me. And if there's something additional that you're looking for, you want to make sure that they have experience doing that, and that they are providing some sort of analytics report for you, either monthly, quarterly, at the start and finish of your time together. But you want to be able to measure the results of when we started to the time you wrap up from when you hire that person to see what the results are. But
Yeah, it is
it
complicated.
yeah, it's difficult to kind of just throw a price out there, but there are plenty of great marketers here in Greater New Bedford that are available.
Okay. If you could email me some references, I'm going to present it to the committee tomorrow. Scott Lang will be there, and the woman who's writing up the grant. So we just, I guess we need to submit something in there for marketing. Um, I don't know if it covers Facebook ads and ads, other social media ad points. I've done several campaigns. I've had seven albums out in California, but just relocated here. So I'm not in with the marketing people here. So I thought I'd just check in and see what you have, and perhaps there could be a fit for this committee team and this series of concerts coming up.
Yeah, I'm sure we could put together a few resources that are available in the area to share out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Continuing on, does anybody else have any questions that they would like to present to Ashley?
For those who are sole proprietors, individual artists and creatives, are there some like less expensive steps that you could take to start marketing your artwork?
As far as just getting your marketing out there.
Right.
Absolutely. So, one of the key things that you can do for your marketing is creating community and partnerships. So, we're all kind of working with limited resources and limited budgets. Most small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs are spending less than $100 per month on their marketing.
Mhm.
And so, by finding brands or even like micro influencers, local influencers who have a similar target audience and connecting with them is a great way to get your brand out there. Thinking about ways to do cross promotions. So, again, if my target audience is creatives, and I know that New Bedford Creative has a big following of artists and creatives in the community, I want to find a way to do some cross promotional marketing so that I can get in front of their audience who may not know who I am. Um, I know that in the most recent cohort of E for All, there was an artist who does really beautiful nature prints, and she just teamed up with a local coffee shop, Scuttlebutt, in Payne, and she's doing custom printed coffee mugs and napkins and things like that to kind of because they have very similar target audiences. And so she's like, hey, this is a great way for me to get in front of my audience. So really forming those partnerships and those relationships with businesses and brands that are similar to yours, that have a similar target audience can be a great way to get your brand out there in front of people who may not know that you exist. There's also a lot of great free resources. So if you have events coming up in the area, there's a lot of online calendars that are available to post your events for free. PR, so putting out press releases when you have something big going on is a great form of free marketing. Finding ways to do pop-ups at places that are looking to host artists that could be attractive for their customers. Just different ways to get yourself in front of the community that don't cost anything.
Any other questions from anyone? Actually, I always, when I talk to my friends about marketing, because like, thank you for giving me the shout out. Like they say, like you said, like they say, I have a strong personal brand. And I always tell them it takes years. It took me 3 years of being very consistent about it. But as somebody who's in the field and knows the game, what is a realistic expectation for somebody who has their ducks lined up, all in a row? They have their value proposition. They know what their customers' values are. They know how they want to present. Let's say they started tomorrow. How long is somebody going to, and I know results may vary, so this is kind of like a general thing. Because I always tell my friend, 3 years, lock in, 3 years, you can change it. But what do you think is a realistic expectation for somebody to wait or to put their head down and just keep doing the right thing as far as marketing goes? I mean, it's something that you're going to be doing forever, right? But what's a realistic expectation as far as timeline? Is there one?
I think it really just depends. I don't know that you could put a specific timeline. I would say that I don't expect any type of results in under 6 months.
Thank
Right.
you.
So, unless you're really lucky and really nail it and create a viral piece of marketing, it's going to take work. You can't expect things overnight. And the bigger point to that is diversifying your marketing. Do not expect that just because I show up on Instagram, that my business is going to be a hit.
Mhm.
You have to show up in multiple different places in order for people to really start to connect with you. Now, that doesn't mean that you should be trying to tackle every single social media platform that's out there. That means that find the top two that your target customer is on and master those before you really go out there and expand where you're at. So that could be my target audience really isn't on Facebook, but I know they're on Instagram and YouTube. They like their long form content on YouTube and they love their short form content where they can feel like they're connecting with me on Instagram. And so, really focus on those two platforms, whatever it may be that works for your audience, and get great at that and grow your following there and learn what's working with them. And then you can start to expand out. But you don't want to lose sight of things like your website or your email list. If you are not growing an email list as a business, start today because you own that channel. I know we didn't really get into like marketing channels today. We mostly did branding, but if we ever get to do a 2.0, I'd love to talk about like diversifying your marketing channels. You own your email list. You do not own your social media platform. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they could all go away tomorrow. And how will you talk to your audience? But with your email list, you are sending targeted messages directly to them. And although it may feel like, oh, email, that's so outdated, it is still one of the most effective forms of marketing. And so just making sure that you're diversifying, you're showing up consistently, you're showing up where your audience is, and you're putting in that work. So I never expect results from a major campaign in less than like 6 months, and you have to keep showing up. There's the rule of seven. People need to see things 7 times before they do anything with it,
Mhm.
um, before they really remember it or they choose to move forward with it. And so that could be your showing up on Facebook, Instagram, a blog post, your website, and an email newsletter, and two other places. But they need to see it 7 times before it really starts to click and resonate.
Noted. I remember there used to be a commercial for a drink called 99 Bananas. And in the commercial, um, they said the word 99 bananas like 5 times. And they said, according to our analytics, we should say our brand name at least 7 times. So 99 bananas, 99 bananas. And that was the end of the commercial after the fifth and sixth, seventh time. And that stuck with me throughout my entire youth. I was like, what? They just gave like analytical data in the middle of their commercial, which I took with me going forward. And then the other one was, believe it or not, Playtex used to have a commercial which was very up in your face in the sense of they threw a young lady on there and she goes, "Don't you like how I'm racially ambiguous? That way you can all relate to who I am and thinking that it's you." And I remember thinking about racial ambiguity. For one of my campaigns a long time ago, we used black and white photos of people with our logos because we wanted to create racial ambiguity. We thought people can't tell much if it's black and white, right? So we did that and it worked out really well for us but again, it was something that took years. It was like a year straight of posting content and asking people to just be generous with their time and their photos. And then we had something. But yeah, it was yeah, the rule of seven and the no less than 6 months is like two things that I've been in the field and seen firsthand. So I agree and I double down on that.
Yeah, and during that time when you're kind of waiting for things to take off, that's where, like, don't think that after 1 month of trying something, like, oh, this was a failure, this didn't work. Tweak one little thing about it and see if it takes off. Just make small changes and see what works along the way.
I think the last thing I'll add to this is, and it's just something I learned on my own, and it helped me kind of stop being angry at the results, was a realistic conversion rate for the people in your field and learning what small and medium businesses convert at, which is between 2 to 5%. Walmart converts at 10%. And you and that's about as good as it gets sometimes. Converting above 10% means you're exceptional. So it taught me to look at my numbers, how many people I reached, how many people interacted. And usually it was below two. So I made adjustments, but it helped me be realistic as
Mhm.
opposed to putting a piece of content out there and being like, why didn't this go viral? Well, probably you didn't convert. Your conversion rate was low. If you had a couple of million people see it, then you probably would have converted at a couple of thousand. Um, so that was something I had to learn the hard way, but it was like God coming to visit me in my apartment and being like, "You're doing it wrong." So if you guys get a chance, look at what the conversion rate is in your field, and then that'll help you kind of take a little bit of the sting out of it when only four people react to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any more questions from anybody before we do a beautiful outro and wrap this up?
This was really helpful. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Follow me at Cardinal Creative Strategies. I'm on Instagram. I do have a Facebook, but I don't really use it very much. So Instagram is kind of the platform that's my one right now.
you.
I have an email list. I like to send out emails with helpful tips and just things that we're working on. So give me a follow.
And just to kind of like piggyback off of that, my most successful platform for some reason is Facebook. So just get in where you fit
Yep.
it. Like get in where your clients are. All right. Anybody else? Okay. I want to thank you all for your time this afternoon. This was a great session. I'd also like to thank Ashley Payne once again for all their hard work. Also, I would like to thank our funders, the City of New Bedford, the National Endowment for the Arts, Bar Foundation, Bristol County Savings Bank, and the South Coast Community Foundation for making this possible. Please be sure to visit our website, newbedfordcreative.org, and join our free creative directory. This is the list we use to promote on our social media throughout the year. Make sure to add your events, galleries, exhibitions, or more to our calendar page that is linked to South Coast Today. We want our creatives to excel, and we are here to help. Join us for our next session. Submit your work, 2026 Seaport Art Walk Call for Art, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. And you could join us via Zoom or in person here at 1213 Purchase Street in New Bedford, Massachusetts. That is the Quest Center's second floor conference room. Lastly, the recording of today's session will be on our YouTube channel within the next week. You can find us on YouTube at New Bedford Creative. Have a great day and thank you for your participation, everyone.